Hi everyone, Josh with Talk About Trek, and we're back with number 2 of 4 of the Dominion War. And this one is called Call to Arms. Alright, so book 2 of 4 of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, The Dominion War, is basically a novelization of what I thought was going to be all of these episodes. But it actually turns out, and I should have read a little bit closer, it's actually maybe about half of those. So about, 4 of those really intense Dominion War episodes of Deep Space Nine, novelized by the wonderful Diane Carey. No blurb on the back, unfortunately, but they do have on the inside cover here, like the last book had a nice picture, this war-worn Cisco here. So, that's nice. Nice little picture to go with your book. So, interesting to see. I'll see what's in 3 and 4. I'm looking forward to that. So, what is Star Trek Deep Space Nine, The Dominion War, Book 2, Call to Arms, a novelization by Diane Carey? Well, what I can tell you is that it is pretty interesting. Especially if you have just come off of watching through this group of episodes. And you might think that, well, you just watched it, you don't want to read the same thing that you just watched, but it actually gives you kind of a different side of events. And of course, when you're reading a book, you're always getting the inside view. You're getting the view inside the character's head, which is always cool. So it gives you a lot of interesting stuff like that, and some things that, I guess, give you more insight. Say you were to read this, go back and watch it again. So, let's jump right in to Book 2, A Call to Arms. So the book basically starts out at the point in the series when they have to abandon the station to the Dominion. Cisco recommends that Bajor take the non-aggression pact with the Dominion to remain safe. And the Federation abandons the station, of course, after setting up the awesome self-replicating minefield, covering the whole wormhole so the Dominion reinforcements are cut off. So, that's where this book picks up, and it mainly follows the adventures of Cisco and his crew and what they're doing, but then dives into some of Martok stuff, which is really, for me, I think, was some of the highlight of this book. So as it starts out, basically, like I said, they're abandoning the station. They've finished mining the wormhole. A really intense scene there where Martok comes in at the last moment to kind of give the Defiant the time it needs to finish the mines, and it gets deployed. And then they kind of go into a 3-month break, they say, which I thought was kind of funny. It kind of coincided with the 3-month break you would have over the summer for the TV show. But they come back after 3 months' time, and the war, as anyone who's watched these series of episodes, is not going well for the Federation at this time. They're losing on multiple fronts, losing lots of ships, and this kind of jumps in with a huge loss that they've just had, over 100 ships lost, and they just don't know why things are going so bad. And it seems like the decisions that the Admiralty is making are wrong, and always leading them into disaster. So at this point during the book, Cisco and Martok decide that just the two of them alone need to come up with a plan to strike back at the Dominion. I mean, they're the ones that are there on the forefront anyway, but they need to do this themselves because anyone or anything could be a changeling, so they need to watch out for that threat, of course. So they make this pact that basically no one but them is going to know what is going on here. So, one of the parts of this is that Cisco has to give up his position on the Defiant, kind of get himself into more of a control position, like a desk position, still being able to go out on missions, but having more of a control over what he's doing and where he's going. So he's able to kind of get himself an inside position, calling in some favors, and able to do that. And the first mission that they get to go on is a secret mission on a Jem'Hadar ship that they caught in some previous episode, I believe. So they're on the Jem'Hadar ship. They have Garrick with them helping out. On the ship, they describe how they have to use these headsets with the Jem'Hadar, and I guess the Vorta use to control these ships, but give them like terrible headaches. So Garrick is able to help out. The Cardassian physiology like works better with that. Now this is where it kind of gets. Well, I think there's a lot more that they do add to the TV show throughout this novelization, but here is where a really interesting part happens. So in the TV show here, during this part, they are trying to cross into the Cardassian border in this stolen ship, and they are tracked by this Starfleet vessel called the Centaur, which he is known to Sisko and is captained by this Charlie Reynolds. And in the TV show, it's just kind of this one throwaway line about like how he never gives up or something like that. But here in the book, they expand upon that quite a bit. And well, what happens is Charlie chases these, fires upon them. They're trying to get away, not doing like the normal Jem'Hadar, acting like a Jem'Hadar thing and going for the throat. They're trying to escape. Luckily for them, but not for for the Starfleet crew, 3 more Jem'Hadar ships show up, and the Centaur is chased off by them. And then the story kind of jumps over to the Centaur at that point, which is really, I think, one of the cooler chapters here, because it gives you something you don't see in these episodes. And it's just short chapter about this crew of the Centaur, this like war-torn crew who's been through so much together that they all call each other by first names on the bridge and everything. And like their desperate escape from these 3 Jem'Hadar ships. So that was a very cool chapter, which I'm hoping that in book 404, where they dive back into this a little more, that we get to maybe see more of them in that crew. So, going on with Sisko's mission, the undercover mission with the ship was to basically go and blow up this Ketracel White depot. Ketracel White is what the Jem'Hadar need to stay alive. It's this sort of drug that keeps them in check, basically. And they found out where the depot is, and they want to sneak in there and destroy it. And they are successful. They get in there, everything works, they sneak in there, but they're not able to get out quite fast enough. So they are caught in their own explosion. Their ship is badly damaged. They are chased by Jem'Hadar and under fire. During that battle, Dax is badly injured. Her station explodes, and she's just very badly injured. And it kind of steps away from that story for a bit. And in this book, it does cover a slight bit of what's going on the station during that time. But it's kind of like the very side plot. And it's less action. And it kind of covers, what is Dukat doing? What is Odo and Kira doing at that time? And but like I said, it's just kind of a little segue from the main story, which is this Defiant main mission, which is what we're getting right back into. And really, this is where, the episode, if you've seen the episode, it's really great, but this part in the book I thought was especially well done because it gives you a different view. So this is the time in the book, basically, or in the series when their ship crash lands on this planet in this nebula. They are stranded on this planet with another crew of Jem'Hadar, and their Vorta is injured, and they give you some very interesting looks in here, like into the mind of the Jem'Hadar, into their actual thinking about why they have to do what they're going to do. But basically, how it breaks down is that the Vorta is injured. The Jem'Hadar have managed at that point to capture Nog and Garrick. So they negotiate a prisoner exchange. And Sisko and Bashir go in exchange for Nog and Garrick. Bashir is able to fix the Vorta up somewhat so that he's not going to die. But the problem is that they have 1 vial left of the Ketracel White. So the Vorta knows that basically the Jem'Hadar are going to they're going to, when this stuff runs out, they're going to revolt, and it's going to be the end of all of them. So he's going to order them into a suicide mission, and he tells Sisko all about this, basically so that Sisko will kill all the Jem'Hadar, take him captive so that he will live, and all of his crew will die. If you've seen the episode, it's really, really, really good episode. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. The looks that this book gives you inside of the Jem'Hadar Third, I thought was really well done, and just also inside of Cisco's mind as well during this, and like what they had to do and how everything ended up. So they did a really good job. The author did a really good job, I think, of taking what was in the TV show and then adding to that in this novelization. The book then at that point does go back to the station for a little bit, and it gives you a chapter of that kind of rather disgusting subplot with Dukat chasing after Kira, and he's bought her that dress, and wants her to attend the little art show of her daughter. But just really makes you hate Dukat. Who doesn't hate Dukat? Oh, the guy did such a good job making me hate that guy. Cisco and crew are rescued from that planet after everything that happens by Martok and the Rotaran, who they were able to signal. And then the book actually ends with giving you kind of this, which I think was maybe one single episode where it was focusing on Worf and his son Alexander with Martok aboard the Rotaran. So you get this look at that episode as well. But what they did, or what Diane did really well with these past, like the last two chapters here, was you look at the episode, but you look at it through the eyes of Martok, who's kind of like eavesdropping on his crew, through the view screens and stuff. So I thought that was really well done as well. This book ends with a nice to be continued, where the Rotaran is on their way to battle, and then they're hit, and they are able to defeat the two Jem'Hadars. But there's trouble, and then Worf has to rush down to the engine room to see if Alexander's made it out alive. And then you get a bump to be continued. But if you've watched DS9, you all know where it's going. So what this book really brings is the little inside looks, inside the heads of Cisco, inside the Jem'Hadar, and Martok. For me, I would say Martok was the shining gem of Book 2 of the Dominion War. And even though he wasn't in it too entire much, just the little bits that he was able to kind of throw in there were just good enough that made this, it made it very interesting to see his inside thoughts on some episodes that maybe you've seen a couple of times, and just gives you like a new perspective on them. The same thing with seeing the inside thoughts of the Jem'Hadar as well. And the Jem'Hadar Third, and of course I'm not going to remember his name, and I'm sure that I didn't write it down, but the inside thoughts of the Jem'Hadar Third I thought were really cool as well. And his name was Ramataklan. I got it here. I didn't write it down. Ramataklan. So he was the third of the Jem'Hadar, and just kind of a look at their thinking, I think, was something that really added to this book. So, I mean, that's really what you can do when you take like a novelization of some episodes, and you want to turn it into a book. You can give your reader, insight into what these characters were thinking during that time. So, like I said, this book covered, I think, the first 4 episodes: Call to Arms, Time to Stand, Sons and Daughters, Rocks and Shoals. And maybe not necessarily in that order, even. So I think that, uno momento. Now, let's take a look ahead here. So, Book 3 of the Dominion War is going to take us back with the crew of the Enterprise E and Captain Picard and the Orb of Peace and what they're doing. So that is kind of like all new stuff. Very much looking forward to getting into that. And then, of course, we have Book 4 of the Dominion War, which will cover those last episodes there of the retaking of DS9. So, man, a lot to look forward to. I'm not going to spoil myself and see what the pictures are on the inside yet. We'll wait till we crack those open. One last thing, though, I want to point out here is in the final page here of the book, what do you have but a mail away exclusive for, look at that, Captain Calhoun from Star Trek New Frontier. And I just thought that was really cool because this is actually the one and only Captain Calhoun right there, which we found in a Comic-Con dollar box my son found with his eagle eyes. So didn't have to mail away with it. Just found it 20 years later in a dollar box. But there he is. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine, The Dominion War, Book 2. We'll be back real soon with some very interesting videos about my book collection and possibly my toy collection as well, because some cool stuff has happened. And a new logo designed by my son is in the works. So again, thank everybody for watching as always. Live long and prosper, and we'll see you next time. Bye.